Okay, so I don't know if it bugs you when you're working on Ethereum contracts, but gas can be a real problem, can give you errors. Also, it can also frustrate you when you're actually moving Ethereum around. You're like, well, what happened to my transaction? And then you get all freaked out because you think your money disappeared and so on. So tonight I'm going to talk about gas and try to explain it, and that might help you when you're trying to figure these things out. And I'm also going to show you a little tool that I found on the internet. According to Investopedia, gas is the resources used for performing transaction on the Ethereum network. So it's separate from the value of ETH itself because they have two different supply and demand, right? Gas is based on processing. How busy the network is, what's the supply and demand of processing power for Ethereum on the Ethereum chain. ETH is based on, what traders and investors are willing to pay for ETH. So those are two different supply and demands. So don't confuse the two. Gas can go up because people are very busy, but maybe Ethereum's going down and people are trying to get out of it. So gas is delineated in GWEI, which is a fraction of Ethereum. 1 ETH equals, what is it? 3. Let me use my pointer here. 369. So let's see. That would be a billion. 1 ETH is worth a billion, I think. So, because 3, yeah, that would be a million. This is a billion. Now, the next thing is gas in your transaction. So, this is where you have to be oh, did I miss something? Page up. What is gas? Gas. Okay. Only have 3 slides. Gas in your transaction. So the gas limit is the maximum units of gas you're willing to pay for a transaction. Gas price is the cost per unit of gas in GWEI. Gas fees equals units times cost per unit. So 21,000 units times 14 GWEI equals, 294,000 GWEI, which is 0.000294 ETH. Now, another factor to consider is the block gas limit. Often, I spelt minor wrong, it should be ER. Minor is the total amount of gas that the miner will use for that block. The other thing is if your transaction doesn't hit the gas limit, in other words, if it doesn't use the amount of gas you allocated, you get a refund. And we're going to look at this site now. Let me go to and bring it up. Okay. This is, let me get to it myself. This is called ethgasstation.info. It's basically a calculator give you an idea. So here's the case. We have 21,000 gas units. We have the average price, which is 19 GWEI. And when you hit submit, it says 80% of miners will take your transaction. So this is take you about a minute to confirm. This is what your cost is going to be in Ethereum, which is like 0 in fiat. Now let's say you got to do real fast. So you do this. That means they'll all take it. If you're going to pay 301 GWEI, and transaction at or above. So your transaction fee again, it's going to be less than $1, and it's going to only take you 22 seconds and 2 blocks. Now the one thing I was finding, so let's go here and let's change this to, let's half this and see what happens. I'm curious now. Why it's not, oh, that might be the minimum. No? What's going on? Reset. I was able to, all right. So if you want to be cheap, let's say you only want to do 14. Let's see what happens. You still get 75%. So I don't know why this is doing this. It could be that I'm running on Linux, and when I was doing this on a Windows browser, I was able to change the amount of gas, but let's see. Well, let's just see for giggles. Oh, that's interesting. It's going to take, it's still, which means the network isn't that crowded. But this is kind of a, you know, calculator. So, and let's see what we got here. Gas price. So you can see, you can get a feel when you really start being able to, so you can look at this chart here, and if you say, okay, what do I need to pay? And this one, so let's look at this block here. So it looks like it was doing some kind of swap. The one thing I'm noticing, I'm not seeing a lot of those vanity, oh, right here. Yeah, you're seeing, so, and this has some FAQs, some links explaining it as an API if you want to use that, if you want to connect to this at on your website, which is kind of cool. So hopefully I've given you some information that'll make your life a little easier when dealing with Ethereum. Oh, I didn't do my last slide. Here are the takeaways. Understanding gas will make your real transaction and test transaction go a lot smoother. You know how much to tell it to make sure that you actually get your transaction done. If it's taking really long and I've moved Ethereum and you sit there like, oh, I hope I put everything in right. It's not here yet. I hope I didn't lose all my money. Understanding gas will avoid also the annoying errors you get when you attempt to deploy. Your transaction can fail because it requires more gas than you permitted. It's over the block limit. Remember, the miner could limit the size of the amount of gas that it will have per block, or the price that you gave is too low. You saw it had a bigger impact changing the price than changing the quantity. If your gas things seem good and still failing, it could be the situation we ran into where your bytecode and API and API, that should be ABI, are correct. So that's the key. And these last two things will kind of give you, wait, I don't know if you can even see the slide. Let me make sure I brought the, let me make sure I bring the slide up. Here we go. I'll do that. So, there we go. Here's our takeaways that I just was talking about. So, the last two will give you some good starting points if you're having trouble deploying. Now, of course, you can have other things like you don't have the right block ID or URL or something of that nature. But though you know those are right, and if you're using Ganache, it's pretty easy. It tells you right there, so you can pretty much copy and paste. But check, especially if you're doing if you're mechanically giving it the bytecode and the ABI, which is what we were doing the other day for our ETH2 chain. And the problem the problem was that it did not have the right bytecode or ABI, and so it failed. But it didn't fail with the error you'd expect. It failed making you think it was the gas, that you have given it the wrong amounts there. And I spent some time going through down that rabbit hole to no avail. So anyway, hopefully this has been helpful. I want to do this because I figured this has been a pain point for me in working with this stuff, and I figure if I'm having trouble, you probably are too. If this has been helpful, please give a like, please subscribe, ring the bell, share it with your friends, and I will speak to you next time.